this is Mr. Green, and I'm going to show you how to make a jack-o'-lantern from construction paper. Let me show you what it's going to look like. There he is, totally made out of construction paper. First, you need to take a strip or a sheet of orange construction paper and cut it. And the paper should be like 9 by 12. And you should cut it into 1 inch by 12 inch strips, which that will leave you 9. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you don't need one of them, so we'll take it over here, and then we'll pull all these down. And hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take each strip and I'm going to pull the ends together to fold it in half like this. I'm going to hold them real tight and I'm going to slide down and squish the end. 1. Do it again. 2. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil. I'm using a pen so you can see it, but you should use a pencil because it's less visible. You can draw really lightly. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the center. Then at the top of this one, I'm going to write 1. At the bottom, I'm going to write 1. And I'll put it off to the side. And this one, I'm going to put a center. And I'm going to write 2. And at the bottom, 2. Okay, now I've got all my strips have centers and dots, and numbers. And the reason we have them numbered is so that we know which one is on top. We're going to start with 8 on the bottom. And look, I'm using Elmer's glue. One of the things I want to tell you about Elmer's glue, or any glue really, once your bottles you started using your bottle, well, it tends to stay in the bottom because you stand it up like this, right? Well, if you leave it laying on its side and closed, you don't really have to wait very long for your glue to come. And this is an important thing too. We don't want the glue to come gushing out of there because the more glue you have, the longer you're going to have to wait for the glue to dry. You don't need a lot of glue. You need it spread out. So watch how I do this. I'm going to turn it upside down and squeeze as hard as I can on my glue bottle. And I'm going to twist the knob, the tip, until it starts to come out. When I see it coming out under force, then I know that's enough. And I'm going to put 1 drop of glue and spread it around. That's in the center. That's my 8. Then I'm going to take number 7 and I'm going to try to make a cross right smack dab in the center. It's really important to try to get these things centered up as good as you can, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do 6. And we want to spread them in a circle. So the next one I'm going to put right here. And try to look at these spaces in between and make them as much the same as you can, because that tells you that this is where it's supposed to be. And then we're going to do 5. Now, I have my paper stacked up, and the piece that's on top is 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, 7, and 8. And I don't have to look. I know because I just stacked them up, and I made sure I did them in order. So the next part is to turn it into a pumpkin. So we're going to start with 1, And I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here on the very end of one of the ones. And I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to curl it up. And I'm going to glue this into the biggest ring I can. In other words, I don't want to overlap the two pieces too much. And this will never be perfect because none of us are perfect, and I didn't cut this paper perfect, and you won't cut your paper perfect, and it's just the way it is. Don't get upset if it doesn't work perfectly. Okay, the next number I'm going to do is 2. Now 2 and the rest of them, we don't do it like we did 1. We glue all the other ones to 1. So I'm going to do one end at a time so you'll see that. We'll put a little bit of glue right on the end, fold it up very carefully, stick it to 1. You want to try to make sure that the rings are sticking out away from the middle as much, evenly. See, and because I didn't put a lot of glue, it dries pretty quick. It's not totally dry, but it's dry enough that I can let go of it. And that's what we want. See, not a lot of glue. So here's my pumpkin. I'm going to make the face right here. And this is a tricky spot because you have to really look at what you're doing. I'm going to take my yellow paper and my black paper and I'm going to overlap them. Okay? And then I'm going to take one end of it and I'm going to fold it over. One of the things I've noticed students do is they either make their eyeballs too small or too big. So I say as a rule of thumb, make them about as big as a thumb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take right here at the bottom of this paper where it's nice and straight, and I'm going to draw me a triangle like that. You see my triangle? And that's about as big as my thumb. This part of my thumb, not the whole thumb, but that part. And then I'm going to take my scissors, and hopefully you can do this. If not, you can get your parents to help you. But I'm going to cut right along those lines. You only need to make 2 cuts through all those that paper, and I end up with 2 black and 2 yellow triangles. Now I want my yellow triangles to be a little bit smaller than my black triangles. So I'm going to put my yellow triangles together, leave my black triangles laying there, and I'm going to cut them down a little bit. I'm going to come in just a little bit and cut off a sliver on each side so they look a little bit smaller, like so. And then another thing I like to do, but you don't have to, is I like to cut half a circle out so it looks like he's looking. Then we get all this scrap out of our way, pull our eyeballs down. We've got 1 eye for this triangle and 1 eye for this triangle. We have to turn our yellow part over, get our glue, which is still laying on its side, put our finger on it, and put a little bit of glue in a few spots. Little bit of glue in a few spots. Then we're going to take this one, pick it up, and try to put it so we see black all around the yellow, like that. See that? Isn't that beautiful? We'll do the same thing with this one. We want to see black all around the yellow, like so. Now the next problem that people have is they glue their eyeballs too low and then they end up with their mouths too high. So we're going to put a little bit of glue on this. We're not exactly sure where the glue is going to touch. So we're going to put, quite a bit just to make sure it's right. All right, So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this eyeball right up here. You got to wait for it to dry. We put a little bit extra glue on this, so it may take a minute. Then I'm going to put this other one. You don't want them to be too far apart. So let me put a little bit more glue. I know where it's going to land now. So we're going to put this one right up. There. If I can get it to go. There it is. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? He looks a little worried, but that's the way life is sometimes. Now, the next one is the nose. And you can make nose bigger or not, but basically go to the other end of the paper, see where it's nice and straight, so you have a nice straight bottom. You don't have to worry about drawing that. And draw you a nose. Same thing, triangle. You don't have to use a triangle. I just think that looks cute. So I'm going to draw the triangle, and then I'm going to cut it out. I'm cutting out a black and yellow at the same time. There's nothing I think I do that doesn't require black and yellow at the same time in this particular project. Now, I've got to make my yellow part smaller. And clunk. A little bit of glue. Flip it over. Set it in the middle somehow, as best you can. You can move it after you lay it down. Just hold one thing. It's getting small. It's hard to get a hold of them. Then test it. I think that's a good place to put my nose. Because we got to have our mouth on there, and if you put your mouth too low, then you can't see your mouth. So you need to put everything else up kind of high. And there's my nose. Can you see what I've done? All right, now, mouth. One thing I want to do about the mouth, I want to make sure that it's wide like as the eyes. So I'm going to lay the pumpkin here, and I'm going to kind of mark on my paper. And then, just for the fun of it, I'm going to make, and you got to make it kind of extra big, but I'm going to make mine look like this. Okay. Now I don't want those pencil lines to show, so I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to put my glue on this side. Oops, I forgot to do the other part. All right, now I can glue it. Make sure I glue that part. Just little teeny weeny itsy bitsy little pieces of glue. It doesn't have to be a big old puddle. Then glue that down. And then we can put it on there. I think it's too big. I'm gonna make it smaller. That looks a little bit better. So I put glue. You don't know for sure where the glue is going to go, so put the glue as many places as you can. Like that. See? I missed this spot. Then I'm going to put it as close to the nose as I can, because if you don't, it'll be down on the bottom. And then you won't be able to see it. And we got to wait for a while because this is spanning a large area of the pumpkin. Ta-da! Then the next part is the green. Here is the green. Okay? Again, we're going to start at the straight edge. And you can do either side. And you're basically going to go like this, draw a little line like that, and then you curve. Then you do another one, about like this, and do a little line and curve, and then connect them, and that's going to be your stem. Put the little line right there. The other thing we need is a little cloud. So we're just going to do a little cloud. And you don't even have to follow this pattern when you cut it out, but it's just something to give you an idea how big. Don't make it real big, okay? And if you do make it too big, you can always cut it smaller, but you can't make it bigger if you've cut it small. So then I'm going to cut this out. Anyway, so then I snip this little piece, and I fold one side forward and one side backwards. And I did it pretty good. One side forward, one side backwards. Now make little feet you can glue onto the top of the pumpkin. But you're not going to glue it on top of the pumpkin. You're going to glue it onto this little piece of green. So now I'm going to make my green shape. Doesn't have to be just like that one. It's just kind of make people think of a leaf. You know? Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's going to see that you didn't draw it or cut it out the same as you drew it. There you go. And that'll look good on him, right? Okay, so next step, glue on the stem. And I'm going to glue the stem on like this. And then we can put just a little bit of glue right on top of his head. And stick that on there however you want to. And you're pretty much done. Oh, I keep forgetting I'm not in this picture. I'm just about done. The next thing you can do is you can make these little vines. That one got hung. Did you see that? Look at that. Make these little vines, which are not that hard to make. I just take my paper and I take my scissors and I cut really skinny strips of paper. There's one. And there's two. And here's three. Set this off to the side. And this is the fun part for me. Take your scissors. You hold them like, I'm left-handed, so you're going to have to probably hold them backwards if you're right-handed. Hold them like this with your thumb. You put your thumb down there, and you just hold it against the metal. You don't squeeze it. You just hold it. And then you pull this little extra piece down, and as it scrapes across there, it makes it curl up. Isn't that cool? And if you don't like it, you can uncurl it and curl it the other way. Uh-oh. Well, that one's not going to have much curl in it. That's all right. So I got to do three of them. I like to find the thickest end and do it. So it's harder to pull it apart, but it doesn't make that much difference. I'm going to do this one twice, get it really curly. 3 times. Look at that thing, buddy. So now I want that one to dangle right by his head. So I discovered last time I did this that you can stick it up underneath the green stuff and not even see where it is. So that's what I'm doing. And then this one I'll put over here. I put glue on both sides of the end I'm sticking on there. Just a little teeny. See how little that glue is? Stick it in here. Oh, we want it up under here. Stick it under there. Hold it. Ta-da. And then you don't even have to put these on here if you don't want to. I like them. Glue. Glue. I'll put this one directly opposite that one. And there you go. There's you a jack-o'-lantern made out of paper. Entirely out of paper. I've got one of them. I'm going to call this one Elmer. And 2 of them, I'm going to call this one Bill. Elmer and Bill, the jack-o'-lanterns. Aren't they beautiful? So, have fun. I hope you liked thing, and I hope you have a good time doing them.